The second lot of lettuce that we sowed are ready to be planted out now. So we are going to have a look at sowing our next seeds, and this time we're going to do it in a seed bed, which is a traditional way of sowing seeds without the trays and the additional compost, and using it as like a nursery bed. We're not going to be looking at how to actually plant these lettuce because we did that in the last video. Please do let me know if you want the link for that. These ones are summer varieties, so they'll be fine planted in the beds outside as well. So I've just got a collection here of some older seeds. So I want to sow them like this because it's going to save me any issues if they don't germinate. So all I'm going to do is pop my labels in and make some little divots in the bed. Once they're clearly labelled, I'm just going to pop a little bit of an indentation in, which I'm going to then sow these seeds directly into. As we did before with these lettuce, I'm not actually going to be covering the seeds. So some of them have got just a couple of seeds remaining, while others have got lots. So just spread those out a little bit better. Now I'm just making sure that they've got good contact with the compost. For other seeds, you're just going to sow them at the depth that you normally would. I have sown these quite a bit thicker than I would usually, just because I am expecting them not to really germinate too well. It's a good way of just getting rid of them and hopefully getting some plants out of them rather than popping them in the bin. Once these do germinate and they're large enough to handle, then I'll just use my usual little hairpin and actually dig the compost underneath them and lift them out and then move them to where I want them to grow. And then I'll leave some in these areas as well to continue growing and pick as baby leaves. Lettuce can of course be difficult to germinate in the summer during the hotter months. So at that point, do make sure that you have a variety that is going to cope with the heat a little bit better, but also pop the trays that you want to germinate them in outside and in the shade rather than in an undercover space, or even in the house if that's cooler like ours is, and then you should get good germination to be able to continue on your successions. For our lettuce now, we'll be next looking at these when they're starting to be ready to harvest and looking at how to store them.